Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, to what has been so far a pretty bad day, right? We got the fusion calendar for Greathoof Loriaca, and needless to say, with 2 summon rushes in that fusion, first time ever. Yeah, I mean, you could check out my video and all the comments on it before. To say people are unimpressed would be a massive understatement. However, there is a guaranteed champion happening this weekend that might change the strategy for some of you, and might mean that some of you are actually going to complete this fusion. The guaranteed champion is from Void Shards. It's not a legendary. It is an epic Void champion, none other than Demytha. Now this is very spicy. It's going to cost you 25 Void Shards. So on your 25th Void Shard this weekend, you will get Demytha guaranteed. You'll see the bar and stuff filling up just in case it doesn't last the whole weekend, but I imagine this event will be on for the whole weekend. What's really interesting about this to me is we are coming up to a scheduled 2x Void Shard event next weekend. So next weekend should be 2x Void, so there's a bit of a question mark with that now. Might that be replaced by a Soulstone summoning tournament or something like that? There's a big question there as to whether or not it's going to happen, seeing as there's no champion chase part of the fusion. That's good, because it means a lot of you probably have a good few Void Shards saved up already. Why is Demytha so good? Most of it, honestly, is this A3. Block damage on all allies for 1 turn, and a continuous heal buff as well. But it's because it's block damage for a turn on a 3-turn cooldown. That is what is so insane about this. Demytha opens up multiple unkillable teams. Like if I open up deadwoodjedi.com over here, we jump into this. If I look at speed tunes, oh look, there's me. If I look at speed tunes, we go into Demytha, right? There's a whole bunch of different unkillable teams. So let's look at like a budget myth air, for example. So if you come in with 2 Painkeepers, 2 Void Rares, Demytha, and an Heiress, it's an affinity friendly team that can easily 2-key Ultra Nightmare, right? If you go in with just a regular, let's say Myth Eater, so if you've got Demytha and a Man Eater, you can come in, you can make this team, and so on and so forth. There are so many. Let's look at the most standard one, which is the, I guess this is the one, Ultimate Myth Air with a 3-1 DPS, perhaps. Like with the Deaconess Seeker and Heiress Demytha, this will easily 1-key. She is probably the epic champion that opens up the easiest 1-key Ultra Nightmare, and that's a huge deal. That is a huge deal. Her other moves are really good too. Her A1 puts out a shield. That's pretty all right. Her A2 is excellent, actually. Much better than it looks. It extends all ally buffs, decreases all ally debuffs by a turn as well. Sort of a mini cleanse type thing, which is cool. But extending ally buffs is fantastic. That it heals all allies by 2.5% of their max HP, and a further 2.5 for every turn added to or removed from buffs and debuffs. This heal sounds really small. It's actually really, really big. Like if you've got a lot of buffs out there, there's any debuffs at all, really, it starts to do massive amounts of healing, and it's only on a 3-turn cooldown as well. And she's also throwing out the continuous heal. She extends the continuous heal, which makes this heal more, and then you get another turn of continuous healing as well. So it all works really well together. She is fantastic. Is she worth going for then? This is a big question. So I think there's sort of 2 types of players here that this is going to affect. This summon event is clearly for people that do not yet have a 1-key Ultra Nightmare team, or maybe you don't even have a 2-key Ultra Nightmare team, and getting Demytha would open up unkillable teams for you. I think for a free-to-play player, this could be kind of difficult. Like I said, it's good news that 2x Void is coming soon. This is probably the point in time when you have the most Void Shards you're ever going to have. Will you have 25 though? That's a tough question. I think if you do have 25 saved up and Demytha would open up Ultra Nightmare properly for you, then it's absolutely worth it, right? Being able to go in and just 1-key Ultra Nightmare, Nightmare, and Brutal every day, that's very quickly going to add up to much more value than 25 Void Shards. Like within within 6 months, I'd say you've easily recouped your losses and then some, and you're probably earning way more, like Legendary Tomes, Sacred Shards, etc. It's going to pay off so fast, it's not even funny. But it's whether or not you have those shards. Now, if you are someone who's a spender, I think this is extremely tempting. Like if you are someone that's happy to spend on the game and you're coming in with, let's say you've got 13 void shards saved up and you're like, man, if I buy 12 more void shards, which might cost me, let's say 30 bucks, like 30 euro, I can go in and I can get Demytha and open up those unkillable teams. That's a pretty big deal. So I think a lot of people will be tempted to do it, and a lot of people will go for it. The interesting thing about this too, I worked it out. So 25 void shards, each giving you 120 points in Summon Rush. That will give you 3,000 points in Summon Rush. You will definitely get the first 5, presuming that Summon Rush tomorrow is split up into 5 fragments and 15. You will definitely get the 5, and you're probably going to be pretty close to the 15. The 15 fragments are likely to be anywhere between 3,500 and 5,000. And honestly, if you're going this far for Demytha, wrong one, wrong one. If you're going this far for Demytha and you've got 3,000 points already, it's probably worthwhile going a little bit further, getting the fragments, and then it becomes very easy to complete Greathoof Loriaca, right? If you're going to be close to maxing out this Summon Rush anyway, I think that's sort of what Plarium had planned during the fusion. It all starts to make a little more sense in Plarium's mind now as to what they're doing, having 2 Summon Rushes on right there. I think that's what's happening. So there you go. Am I going to do this? Obviously not. I already have Demytha, so it's not for me. But if you're early game, I think it's really, really good. I keep opening the wrong thing. Of course I do. So there are also other champions on in the 10x as well. So the Void champions, let's look at those first. Actually really good. So the Void epic that's up in the 10x is actually Inquisitor Shamael. This is, I think, another reason people will pull Inquisitor Shamael. As you know, is absolutely incredible for so many rotations of Hydra. Basically, any Hydra rotation with the Head of Torment in the starting rotation, he is like an S tier pick. He was in my team. Incidentally, that Deadwood Jedi team that you saw there, when we opened up the website, he was on that team for me, my best ever Hydra team. Inquisitor Shamael was there. I think it's very reasonable to have 3 copies of Inquisitor Shamael, 1 for each Hydra team. So this is a champion that's very high in demand in the 10x. Even if you already have him, it's worth getting another 1 or 2. So yeah, I think that's a pretty big win. And certainly makes up for missing out on pulling void shards and 2x voids, right? I think that's okay. So that's kind of exciting. That's cool. The legendary champion for voids that's in the 10x event is going to be Hanorach, who's also excellent and a good substitute for Shamael, right? She cleanses with her passive at the start of every one of her turns, and this is a different way to counter the Head of Torment. Brilliant, right? She keeps cleansing off the fears that provokes, that sort of stuff. Great stuff. She brings you increased defense and speed. She has AoE, potentially, block buffs, and decrease attack. So she brings a lot to your team, on top of pumping out decreased speed on her A1 and lots of healing here. Does she do healing here? No, she doesn't do healing on her passive, excuse me, but she does healing with her A1. So Hanorach is really, really, really good as well. I don't have her. I would love to get her. So, I mean, if you happen to bump into her on your way to Demytha, you would not be upset. She's definitely a great legendary champion, and she'd help you in tons of areas as well, in Doom Tower and so on too. So that's a pretty big win if you were to pull her. So I think the 10x Void champions are actually both very, very good, and that stacks well with the Demytha event. From other shards, we have the epic version of Demytha, not Demytha, the epic version of Hanorach. Doom Priest is coming in. She cleanses and does a little bit of healing at the start of her turn every time. So she's like mini, she's mini Hanorach. She gives you increased attack as well. So she could do some fun stuff in Demon Lord Clan Boss. Of course, even unkillable, giving you increased attack and making it affinity friendly. You likely don't need that with Demytha though. You can easily build Demytha plus Heiress and make it affinity friendly just fine. But yeah, so she's good for that, and just great again for Doom Tower progress. Good champion. We have as well, Trumbor, he's in there. He's pretty new, right? I always get him mixed up with Tagore. Shout out to Deadwood Jedi for that one as well. But Trumbor, pretty solid champion, right? He comes in ally protection on a 4-turn cooldown. He's okay. Then he's an AoE. I think he can do pretty decent damage, and his A1 has Weaken and Leech potentially. He's not bad. I'd say he's all right. Not amazing. I'd be giving him, yes, for like 4 out of 5 or something like that. Like he's all right. You might use him for some faction war stuff. Ally protection's decent early game. Wouldn't be chasing him personally in this 10x. He's the one you'd least like to see. And then one of my personal absolute favorite epics, amazing champion, Ugo, god tier God tier epic. Again, she was in my best ever Hydra team. She's so good. Decreased defense and block buffs, AoE. Nice heal with a nice little mini cleanse. Leech on the A1. Even has this revive stuff. If she's the last, she can revive your whole team if everyone else is dead. Almost never happens, but it's cool that it's there. Just an amazing epic. And again, for a lot of people, it's probably worth having 3 Ugos, 1 for each Hydra team. So there's nothing wrong with her being in the 10x. That's a great one. For the legendaries from your Ancient and Sacred Shards, we've got Wither the Crowned, probably the most 10x champion in the game. She was also a guaranteed champion that I missed. I'm kind of sad about it. I would like to have a Wither. Wither, she's coming in, pumping out continuous heals with her passive, cleansing and healing here, increased defense and popping and extending continuous heals, putting out leech and more continuous heals. She is a heal machine. Very useful champion to have. Super tanky, great base stats as well. Just makes your team super tanky, cleanses them, heals them. Great champion. Straightforward enough, really. And then we have 2 different Sylvan Watchers. First up is Elva, who again, I feel like has shown up in a lot of 10x events recently. She was a recent guaranteed too. Elva is incredible. I have Elva. She's one of the MVPs in my account. She is so unbelievably good. Best 20 sacred shards I ever spent was saving up 20 sacreds and summoning them for Elva. I waited and waited with those shards, waited and waited, saving them up, banking them up, and it paid off big time. If you get Elva, you're going to be super happy. This champion's amazing. She's got the revive, single target revive. She's got a full cleanse with block debuffs, increased speed. Both of these on a 3 turn, and she pumps out lots of healing with her A1. Healing with her passive, tons of healing with her passive, and perfect fail as well. Speed, aura to boot, and fantastic base stats. She is brilliant in arena. She is brilliant as well, actually pretty good in Hydra too, and brilliant for hard mode dungeons, for Ice Golem, for Dragon, for building like duo teams. You pop her in with like someone like Walking Tomb Drang or a Nishak Vermin Lord, and they can just rip through. No problem. It's wonderful to see. So very, very good. Then King Galkabar as well. He's the other one. I pulled him recently. Not as convinced about this guy. I'll definitely use him for the Sylvan Watcher faction crypt, but I don't know if I'm going to book him and stuff. He's going to be a lot better. And now that polymorph is not going to be as effective, right? Because he comes in, he's got a full cleanse with continuous heals for every debuff removed and a shield. This move is actually really good. Like full cleanse with the big shield and potentially lots of continuous heals is great. Then he's got an AoE buff strip that puts out poisons. I can also put block buffs on enemies as well. Pretty interesting stuff, like poison for every buff removed. I feel like he's one of those champions that was clearly designed with that blessing that makes poisons do more damage in arena in mind, right? That seems what he's there for. Like, he doesn't stand out right now as being super useful anywhere in particular, but he's going to be generally good in the game, like full buff strip plus a full cleanse. The shield and healing is good. The AoE poisons is okay and could be very good now once polymorph is gone. That's going to be better. And then he's pumping out some shields on his A1 as well. And he's got a fun passive activating poisons, activating continuous heals. Yeah, I mean, look, with polymorph being changed, you could see more play. Could be interesting. It's one to come back to for sure. And there you go. They are the 10x champions, and that is the guaranteed champion. Let me know. What are you going to do? Are you going to be pulling for Demytha? I'm very curious. Like I said, I think a lot of people earlier in the game are going to be tempted to do so. And yeah, look, if this does give you a legitimate unkillable team, I would check on deadwoodjedi.com, look through the different compositions, right? And see, do you have one that matches the champions that you have? Do you have one that works? Because if you do, you're going to be in a really, really good spot. Like Myth Fu is one of the first ones with Seeker and all of that. If you can build one of these, like it is so strong. Ultimate Myth Air with 2 Seekers. That's a bit more difficult, but if you get this up, it's the easiest way by far to 1 key, which is massive. Ultra Nightmare. It's very, very strong. 1 key Ultra Nightmare team. All affinities. Hard to build, but it's really, really good. There you go. Look, thanks for watching, guys. I'm curious what people are going to make of this, to be honest. Bit tricky still for me going, what am I going to do? Because I obviously don't want Demytha. It'd be nice to pick up the fusion, but not that pushed really about the fusion. And I'm not going to be pulling 25 voids for Demytha, so we'll see. Anyway, catch y'all next time. Goodbye.